Hello everyone, how are you going? Welcome to the 10 strangest New Year's traditions from around the world. Some of that definitely isn't completely random. I can understand that given all the different countries that people are going to have their own way to ring in the new year, but whether it is hot or cold or wet or dry, whatever it may be, definitely can make for some strange or at least some different kind of circumstances.
The world is a large place full of people from all walks of life, so it's no wonder that they choose to ring in the new year in completely different ways. Want to know what rodent they lower from a roof in Brasstown, North Carolina when the clock strikes midnight? Stay tuned to see. Talk smearing, Thailand. Just because this tradition is practiced in April doesn't mean it isn't a New Year's celebration. That's because in Thailand, they ring in the new year with a festival in April. Now that isn't the weird part. The activities that take place during the 3-day Songkran festival, on the other hand, are a bit peculiar. To mark the ending of the dry season, people in this country take to the streets with a literal 3-day water fight.
That certainly does not seem like the fairest of fights, especially over a 3-day period. I mean, yeah, go for it. You're going to be cooling people down because Thailand is, well, renowned for being hot and humid, but the fact that that guy is riding an elephant, but he just kind of turned the elephant into a water pistol. I don't get it. I mean, I guess maybe it isn't fair whatsoever, and that guy is just copping the entire full brunt of an elephant, which I can only imagine would be some fairly high pressure, to be honest. Let alone just the volume of water that is dispersing. Honestly, it's almost like he brought a water tank, being a ride-on water pistol, but a water tank to a water gun fight.
Kids will shoot water guns at each other and pour buckets of water on people. Thai citizens also throw huge amounts of talc, so much so that city streets look like they've been hit with a snowstorm. Eating 12 grapes. Spain. There are many New Year's traditions involving food. You might eat cabbage and black-eyed peas if you grew up in Western culture. But if you grew up in Spain and other parts of Europe, you may pop 12 grapes at the stroke of midnight. This tradition goes back for generations. When the clock strikes 12, people in this country try to eat a grape every time the bell chimes, for a total of 12 grapes.
Surely that isn't the hardest thing in the world to do. Every time the clock strikes, unless it is just ringing like a fire alarm, surely you would just have enough time to be able to eat one grape at a time. You know, you're only eating 12. Honestly, I feel as though when I eat grape, I eat them 3, 4, or 5 at a time. So that just sounds like the easiest challenge ever. I mean, stuff 3 days of water pistol fights, 12 grapes, you're done. I mean, I do just have to come back to the start because, well, actually, firstly, Thailand having snow is definitely not a sight that many people would have ever have seen. Actually, probably just never, given its latitude and longitude, but for goodness sake, I have never heard of Western culture having cabbage and black-eyed peas. No, can't say I've ever heard of it. I mean, I guess looking at it, if that is actually the correct photo, it certainly does not look half bad. It's just the name, cabbage and black-eyed peas. It certainly is not the most appetizing way to be ringing in the new year. And so I would love to know, how old is this entire tradition, if you want to call it that, but also, does anyone ever still do it, or has anyone even done it? Like, how recent or how modern or what is it?
For a total of 12 grapes. Sounds easier than it actually is. The reasoning behind this strange tradition is to bring good luck to the next 12 months ahead. You can easily incorporate this interesting New Year's routine to your NYU party for a lucky new year.
See, they are just able to make the entire thing make sense. 12 months, 12 grapes, starting off the new year with a health kick. Oh, it just sounds like the perfect way to do it, but I don't understand how it is somewhat hard to do.
Molten 10. Finland. We aren't sure how or why Finnish people keep molten 10 lying around, but they need it for this next tradition. Every New Year's, Finnish people melt miniature tin horses in a pan. Then they take the molten tin and pour it into cold water. The tin then hardens again upon hitting the water. After that, the new shape is taken and interpreted. Whatever the shape may be, it is supposed to be an indicator of the person's wealth, health, or happiness for the coming year.
Well, geez, that is certainly a very creative way to be looking at future predictions, but it's also a very labor-intensive way because, well, they said that they take miniature tin horses and melt them down, so who is making the horses in the first place? I mean, it sounds like a cornered market, but why are you going to be taking sculptures and melting them down and then just making them into that? As I could fully understand that if it was the same piece of tin every single year for as long as possible, literally melting last year's problems or hopefully not good fortunes away, and then just proceeding to hopefully bring in some more good fortunes or at least just gain some at all, then that would just make so much sense to me. But then to just melt it from a horse, that is just the part that completely threw me.
Bread thumping, Ireland.
Bread
As we
thumping.
said,
What a
there are
name.
many New Year's traditions involving food. Most of the time, it's what people eat that makes it pretty weird. But in Ireland, they aren't eating their food on New Year's Day. Instead, they are using it to ward off bad luck and bad spirits.
Okay.
Every New
Good to
Year's,
know.
people in Ireland take loaves of hard bread and smack it against the wall. This is in the hopes that the loud noise will keep bad luck out of their homes. Sounds like a noisy tradition, but if it means 12 months of good luck, we don't see the harm.
Nah, go for it. If that is going to be the case and that is what you want to be doing, then at least it is only a loaf of bread and so you're hardly wasting that much valuable resources. But I do want to know, how did this possibly come about and how old are some of these traditions, because some of these just seem as though they're medieval or even older perhaps. I mean, I am now wondering, even just looking at these few, is there a particular size and shape and weight? Because they look very, very different to, well, these ones. That almost looks like banana bread in comparison to that smooth loaf there. And so I guess if I was trying to ward off some bad spirits and give myself some good luck, would I rather that one or the one that looks like a brick? Honestly, for self-defense, I think I'm gonna go the brick.
Plate smashing. Denmark. Smashing plates or ceramics during celebrations isn't unheard of. Many countries around the world do this for many different reasons and occasions. But in Denmark, after the clock strikes midnight, if you have a pile of smashed china outside your door, you might be pretty popular. That's because in this country, people gather their chipped china and throw it at their friends' doors. This is supposed to bring luck and everlasting friendship to the relationship. It's also supposed to release and relieve any grievances from the previous year. That means the bigger the pile that sits outside your door, the more people love you. Underwater.
Oh, wait. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. That is a very cup half full kind of way, because it also means that throughout the entire year you were quite a pain and gave people a lot of grievances. And so I don't know if you take that as a compliment or not. I mean, sure, it's good to be getting it off their chest, but I don't know. I don't want to be cleaning up that ton of ceramic for starters, but also just going, hang on a second, maybe I need to just reel it in if I'm being that much of a pain to that many different people, unless you just have one really vengeful person that you just do not get on with and they're trying their best just by throwing everything they got at your front door. However, in saying that, this is just the perfect example as to why I love these international videos, because you just get so many different perspectives. You know, in one country, smashing ceramic or china like this, it's just the end of the world. But then in another country, it's just good luck forever. It's fantastic. It's so different.
Underwater tree planting, Siberia. If you've ever been to Russia during the holiday season, you probably notice a plethora of Christmas trees. But you would be mistaken if you thought they were put up to celebrate Christmas. That's because there's a pretty good chance the decorated trees you saw were actually New Year's trees, also known as yolkas. The yolka, translated to fir tree, has been used in New Year's celebrations for centuries. But in Siberia, they like to do something bizarre with their yolkas on New Year's Day. In a region of this part of Russia, divers take to the negative 49 degrees water to set up a decorated yolka on the floor of a nearby lake. We aren't quite sure how this tradition started, but it sounds pretty extreme, even for Russian standards.
Yeah, all round. I mean, I do want to know, what is minus 49? Was it minus 49? Is minus 45? How are you in minus 45 degree water? As look, I will be the first to admit that I don't know everything when it comes to freezing cold environments like that, and I also understand that if water is constantly on the move, it definitely has a harder time freezing. But for goodness sake, I don't know what kind of saturated solution you're going to be having to have minus 45 degree water, and you can still call it water and put a tree up in it. And so given the fact that the chances of a Russian watching this video are fairly slim, I guess I'll just have to go to the next best thing and just ask the Canadians, is it even possible? Is it something that you guys do as well? Because I just don't know how you can be in water at minus 45 degrees.
Graveyard shift. Chile. The holidays may be a time to reflect on the family and friends we have lost throughout the years. It's always tough celebrating without them. Because of that, the people of Talca, Chile have taken matters into their own hands. Instead of being sad about their loved ones who have passed, they decide to spend New Year's with them. Literally, the citizens of this town spend the night in the graveyards of their friends and family members who have passed away. They say it not only brings peace to their hearts, but also good luck for the coming year.
Well, look, graveyards definitely do have a certain stigma around them, and for so many people it means so many different things, and for these people, or for this entire town, I don't think they actually said it was an entire country. I think they just said it was one town in Talca in Chile. But regardless, if this is the kind of thing that just allows people to be closer to their loved ones, feel closer to home, and just truly kind of celebrate and ring in the new year, then I see nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Like I said, it is definitely different, but it is not strange if that's just what you've grown up with and that's just what you really want to be doing. Go for it. And just look, for the exact same metrics, I can absolutely understand someone going, hang on a second, that is just the last thing I would want to do, and just more power to everyone in that regard.
Kissathon, Venice. After the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Day, there is a pretty good chance people will be kissing all over the world. It's one of the most popular New Year's traditions after all. But in Venice, they are taking things to a whole other level. That's because year after year, tens of thousands of people flock to an outdoor celebration in St. Mark's Square. And at midnight, they all participate in a collective New Year's Eve kissathon. So if you and your bae are looking for an interesting place to ring in the new year, Venice is the place to be.
Okay, hang on. I was wondering where that was going to be going because, well, it sounded as though it could be 10,000 people just all having a kissathon, but it seems to me as though it's just 10,000 or I guess 5,000 pairs having a kissathon. I was also especially worried because I did see that this video was made 4 years ago, and I feel fairly confident in saying that a few things have changed in terms of the sharing culture over the last 4 years. And look, they are definitely not wrong. All over the world, it has to be one of the most common displays of affection, but to be honest, I think I'm just going to be sitting this one in particular out.
Binge eating, Estonia. If you are a foodie, then listen up, because you might want to head to Estonia for your New Year's celebration. The people in this country like to binge eat on New Year's, and the number of meals you have that day matters. 7, 9, and 12 are supposed to be the luckiest amount of meals to eat on New Year's Day. It is believed the number of times you stuff your face is the amount of strength you will have the following year. It's also okay to not finish your whole plate. Leaving a little left over is believed to make your ancestors happy.
And also your stomach, because then you don't have to be finishing 12 meals in a single day. I mean, I guess there was other options. You could have done 7, but no. Who's going to do 7 when you can just go the whole hog all the way up to 12? Just go for it. If you're going to go for it, go for it. But no, this is definitely another one that I would love to know when it originated, because it almost feels medieval in terms of you've got all the peasants just scrounging for scraps all year, but this is like their one big break to just go, okay, this is the kind of precedent that we're setting for the next year to hopefully just make sure that all the crops, all of our food and everything is just going crazy, especially if you were just leaving some for your ancestors. I mean, I'm wondering, is it meant to be for them as a kind of a donation and not offering, or is it meant to be an offering in terms of please give us good fortune kind of offering? I mean, maybe it's both. And it also very well could be neither as well, because I have no idea, but it is definitely just an interesting one again, just to hear all these different things from around the world.
Possum dropping, North Carolina. Pretty much everyone has heard about the big New Year's Eve celebration in New York City. They also know when midnight comes around, the big ball of lights will drop from Times Square. Because of this, many other places have taken to dropping things at midnight. And in Brasstown, North Carolina, that is a possum. It all started over 2 decades ago when a local shop owner, Clay Logan, decided the possum was the town's mascot. He got the bright idea to ring in the new year by lowering one of these large rodents from the roof of his store at midnight. It proved to be successful as thousands of people gather each year to witness this strange tradition.
I don't know if I particularly like that one, to be honest. I feel as though that's just a little bit strange. It's not just different, but definitely strange, and weird as well. As I can only imagine that a possum, a nocturnal animal, or at least they are in Australia. I mean, they're completely different animals with the same name, but surely they are both nocturnal. Either way, just to have all the lights and noise and even just being dropped from the sky in a Perspex box, it doesn't seem right. It almost feels a little bit 70s, almost a little bit Groundhog Day in that regard. Like, hang on a second, did you actually think about what you're doing? Sure, you just started decades ago, but you can't really be doing that anymore, or at least that's what I would have thought. But hey, I guess in that regard, the title definitely did live up to its name. It was not lying when it said some of the strangest. I mean, I can get behind some of these. I can go, cool, 12 grapes, like I said, plenty of food just on display, go for it all day long, or even just an entire community coming together with departed friends and family to usher in the new year. And so really, strange is only different, and different can be normal depending on who you are. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm just finally going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free for each of the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to go check out my other ones. Also, make sure to go check out the original video down in the description below, or hey, maybe you even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.